Hey everybody, welcome to another installment of You Do AV. So today we're going to work on doing a security alarm panel and actually how to wire it up. I'm sure a lot of you guys have security alarm panels and you want to learn how to wire it up. A lot of people have this false belief that in order to have a security alarm panel that it has to be monitored, that you have to pay some kind of security company to monitor the system, to hook it up and whatever. That's not the case. If you have a security alarm panel at your house, you can fire it up. I've never seen one that could not be fired up, so maybe that's not the case for everybody. I'm just saying I've never seen one that you can't fire up on your own. So what a security company does is really they just monitor the system. They just look at it to make sure that there's no alarms. That's all they do. That's what you're paying them for. So you don't really have to do that. You can hook your alarm up. You can hook it up yourself, and if it goes off, yeah, the police won't come, but you have sirens going off. You have sirens going off inside the house, and you can put sirens outside your house and let the whole neighborhood know that you've got a break-in. And well, the cops come or don't come, or you call the cops, or they don't call the cops, whatever. That's up to you if you want to have your system monitored or not. I'm going to show you guys how to hook up a system without monitoring. So this is my security alarm panel. This is a Honeywell. It's a Honeywell Vista 128 BPT. This is kind of a high-end alarm. Probably a little too nice for a home system, but mine works off of my automation, so I needed to get a nice one. You guys probably won't use one quite this nice, but the theory is the same, the hookup is the same, the programming might be a little different. Let's take a quick tour of what this thing is. So this is my security alarm board. This right here, these are my battery wires. This panel wants 2 batteries. Ah! Sorry, I'm in a tight little closet here, trying to get the camera to stay put so you guys have a good shot. It's a challenge, trust me. Okay, so you can see I've got 2 blacks, 2 reds, that's for 2 batteries. This is all my security wires, my security bundle here. This yellow one, disregard that, that's for the automation. And then I also have a 16.2, this is like a speaker cable. This is going to be for my power. You don't always see this, this just happened to be what I pulled. A lot of times you can just pull a 22.4. So when we talk security, we use a lot of terminology, a lot of wire terminology. Mostly we're going to use wire terminology that follows a line of 22.2 or 22.4. So with 22.2 would be 22 gauge wire, and there's 2 of them. So I could take this wire right here. This is 22.2. There is 2 wires inside of this white jacket. There's 2 wires, and both of them are 22 gauge. Now I can also have 22.4. So that would be 4 wires inside of this white jacket, and all of them are 22 gauge. So all of your door contacts, window contacts, those should be 22.2. And then your motion detectors, your siren, your keypads, and your power supply should be 22.4. Like I said, for my power supply, I ran 16.2. So that means inside this jacket, there's 2 wires, and they're both 16 gauge. So that'll power my panel. Okay, so here we have different inputs on here. You're gonna have power inputs and your alarm bell inputs, your keypad inputs, and all of your zone wiring is gonna go right down here. So a lot of you guys are gonna ask, first of all, what is a zone? What is a zone? Alarms always talk about zones. You really need to understand what zones are, and it's not complicated, it's super easy. Zones are just what it sounds like. It's a zone. It's an area. So a zone, in the case of a security alarm panel, could be 1 door, 1 window. That's a zone. It could be a room. So in that room you might have 4 windows and 1 door. So that could be the zone. So that one zone would have 4 windows and 1 door. And if any one of those windows or doors opens, the whole zone is violated. So that's a zone. A lot of you guys are going to have panels that are 8 zone systems. So if you have an 8 zone system, that means you can put 8 different zones on it. I know that sounds kind of duh, but just got to make sure everybody's on the same page. So some of the zones are specific. They need to be grouped by themselves. We'll talk about that on the programming part. But to talk about how the wiring goes, let's take a quick minute so we can understand alarms and the wiring theory, and we're going to jump over to UDO University with Alan, the resident PhD in AV. Ah, man, that guy is amazing, and he's so handsome. So smart, so handsome. Voice very similar to mine. I know, crazy, huh? Okay, anyways, back to our panel. So he talked to you how a series circuit works, and that's basically what we're going to be working on. So before we land any wires, it's really, really, really important that the wires are correctly labeled and identified. So you can see all the wires as I pulled them. I made sure, you don't have to read the label, you can just see that they're labeled. I made sure that I labeled all of them because it's kind of hard to find all your security wires. The process isn't hard, but you can see that's a bundle of wires. I have a security alarm wire on every door and every window in my house, and you guys should do the same. If you're just pulling your alarm system for the first time, that's what you should do. Every door, every window, and then motion detectors where you feel that you might want a motion detector. So I put my motion detectors in common areas. So a motion detector basically covers your house. The contacts only work if the door or window is opened. But if somebody kicks out the window or kicks out the door without opening it, they just kick out the middle of the door, but the door stays closed. But the door, like say, blows apart, or the window just blows apart without opening, then that alarm won't go off. So a backup to that would be a motion detector. So anyone in my common areas, by any door or anywhere in a common area, I make sure that I've got motion detectors to cover that also. Okay? Then you want to make sure you have a good, nice, loud siren. You can put one inside, one outside if you want. Let everybody know. And then keypads, wherever you want to put keypads. It's very important to put a keypad by your front door or your most used entrance. Very, very, very important. That one, you can't be without that one. So if your most used entrance is your garage door, then you need to put a keypad there. Or if it's your front door, put one there. I like to put one at least by the front door and in the master bedroom. That way, if the alarm goes off at night and you're sleeping, you can jump up, you can look at the alarm, and then you can act accordingly. Whether you need to get the bat from the closet, or call 911, or shut it off because your kid opened the window because it was a hot summer night. Whatever it is, it's really convenient to have a keypad inside the master bedroom. Most panels can support several keypads. They might not have enough power to power all of them, but you can add an auxiliary power supply to cover that. So, first things first, like we said, we need to make sure that we identify all of our wires. So let's take a minute and pretend that you guys have wires, but they're not, you have no idea what they go to, right? So there's a lot of ways to identify the wires. I'm not going to go over all of them. That would be impossible. I'm just going to go over one, which is called toning. So let's go start toning a wire. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick a wire without a label. I'm going to pick this one. This one has a label, but I'm just going to pick it. So to strip the wire, I take, these are small wire strippers, by the way. These are not my standard strippers. These are small wire strippers that strip all the way down to 20 gauge solid. All the way down to 30 gauge solid, all the way up to 20 gauge. So these are for small wires. So what I do is I'm just going to take a little piece off the end right there. There is a proper way to strip the wire. Pull off the end. Now if you've got really nice wire, you'll have string inside. See, I've got that string. Your nice security wire has the string. But if you don't have it, don't worry. Most security wire doesn't. But I'm a wire snob. So, anyways. So once you pull the end off, once you kind of crimp the end, as I clip the end there to get the jacket off, you'll probably nick the jacket underneath. That's what the string's for. So if you nick that jacket, sorry you hear crying in the background. This is a working household, folks. I got kids. And they don't care if I'm shooting video or not. So anyways, if you crimp the jacket and you nick the wire underneath, we need to get rid of those nicks. So that's what the string's for. You pull off the rubber jacket, the string's there, you pull the string, and that gets rid of all that nasty wire that you snipped. Okay, cut it. And then I just cut off the part that's bad. Bam, just like that. Okay, I'm gonna strip off some copper. There we go. That's the proper way to strip cabling. Cool? And I'll show you, when you're toning, You don't have to do this part, but this is an extra step that I do, and I will show you why. So now that this part is stripped, we're gonna go to another wire where we think that this wire might possibly be. If I don't know, if I have 10 wires here that I have no idea where any of them go, I will just go to any one of the windows or any one of the doors or any one of those wires. I'll go to that end and I'll start there. But I do like to strip off this end too. I'll show you why. Okay? All right, let's go to the other side. Okay, don't forget, we're cheating here because I do know where my wires went, and I do know which one I stripped. I stripped the one to the front door. And so I'm standing here underneath my front door. This is the 3/8 inch hole. Door contacts are 3/8 of an inch. The recessed door contacts are 3/8 of an inch. So you drill a 3/8 inch hole. Just kind of fold the wire up in there. Pull that sucker out. Come on, buddy. There we go. There's my wire right there. Okay? So we're pretending that I don't know where this wire goes. So I would go over here, I'd take this wire out, strip it just like we showed earlier. Sorry if you can hear cars driving by. This is a real front door. Okay, there's my string. Pull the string, expose the nice fresh wire, cut off the excess. Okay, bam. All right, here we go. So I've got my red and I've got my black. I'm gonna strip it. It's 22 gauge, so you can look at your strippers and it's got a mark there for 22 gauge. So there we go. So my red and black wires are stripped. I don't know if you can see it. Then I take what's called a tone generator. This is a tone generator. Surprise, surprise, it's also a continuity tester. Fabulous tool, fabulous tool. So I switch the switch over to tone. Then I take the wires and I clip it on. Doesn't matter what you clip it to. I'm gonna go red on red, black on black because I'm an OCD maniac. But it doesn't have to be. It'll work if you go black on red. Okay, there it goes. Now it's toning, it's on the wire. Let's go back to our closet and see what we find. So with our tone generator hooked up, I can take all the wires like this, and one at a time, I'll just hold the wire, the toner, up to the end. Now you listen, and I can hear how loud that toner is? That's really loud. So that's one of the reasons that I like to strip the wire. So when I find the correct wire, that toner should really blast. It should be way louder. So right now it's pretty loud, because that toner's bleeding through everything. Wow, it's so loud I can almost not even tell. Well, once I find the wire, whoa, that is so loud! This is the one. It's way louder on this one. So the reason that I like to strip the wires is because when I touch the copper together, the toner will stop toning. So if I think I'm on the right wire and I touch the two wires together and I can still hear the tone, that means that's the wrong wire. So right here, I think it's the right one. I'm gonna touch the wires together. Look at that, shuts off. So that's just to confirm that I've got the right wire. Because sometimes it can be hard to tell, especially if you're doing like, I used to do these schools where we'd have 200 Cat5 cables and you would hear that toner coming through 100 of them. And some of them sound louder than other ones. So just to make sure you have the right one, you don't have to do that. And then you touch them, boom, toner shuts off. Then you've guaranteed that you're on the right wire. So, that's one way. There's a lot of ways to do it. That's one way that I like to test my wire to make sure I've got the right one. So I'm gonna go run back, take my tone generator off, come back here, and we'll get started on wiring. Okay, I think the easiest way for us to wire this panel would be just from left to right. So if we look over here, let's see if I can get a shot of this. My panel came with a giant sticker, and I stuck the sticker on the inside of the door panel. That white thing right there is a zone expander. I'll explain that that is. Oh, I guess we better talk about how to choose where your wiring goes, huh? That'd be important. So, before we land any wires, we need to decide how the zones are going to be laid out. Now, we can do the whole house on one zone if we wanted to. You have an 8-zone panel, you could do the whole house on one zone if you wanted to. Your alarm's going to suck, but you could. So the positive and negative of grouping your zones together. So if I have, say, 3 windows inside of my dining room, you know, I can put every single window on its own zone if I have enough zones for it. But if I don't, then I would group it together with, I would put them all together. I'd put all the windows together. So let's pretend that there's an alarm and somebody breaks into the window. Well, if it was one zone, I would know exactly, if it was one window on one zone, I would know exactly which window they broke into, so I can start investigating. But if I've got 4, 5, 6 windows all on one zone, I know that one of those windows was violated, and I don't know which one. So I can go for looking for signs of tampering with the window or whatever. Or if I'm trying to arm my alarm, and I can't arm my alarm because it's saying I have a zone open. Well, if I've got 6 windows on that zone, I've got to go to all 6 of those windows to figure out which one's open. Maybe a loose contact, loose wire, whatever. It's a little harder to troubleshoot. So the least amount of devices that you can put on the zone, the better. But if you don't have enough zones to support all of the devices that you have in your system, you're going to have to group them. So otherwise, you could also do something called zone doubling, which we're not going to cover now. Some panels have a feature called zone doubling, which I like. A lot of alarm guys don't like them for reliability purposes. I think it's kind of a joke, but I've had great success with zone doubling. Another feature you could do is you could add a zone expander, which is what we did here. So my panel supports, I think like 17 zones or something like that, because this panel supports 9 on its own, and I think my zone expander is another 8. I'm not sure, it could be 16. I don't know. I'd have to look at it. Doesn't matter. Okay. Anyways, we're just going to show you a few ways to wire the panel here. So starting from left to right, I'm going to wire first my power. So that here is this. And by the way, I don't know a really nice way to make panel wiring look nice. I've never seen a nice panel wire job. I've seen a lot of panels, never seen a nice one. So if you guys think that your panel looks really sharp and you guys have a really cool way to do it, hey, shoot us a picture. We'd love to put it on the website and make it a featured install. That'd be great. Okay, so we're going to start over here on the far left. For me, this is my my main power. So I've already stripped the wire. This is AC, so it doesn't matter which is positive and which is negative. Yours might, mine doesn't. Ooh, I got too much copper here. Trim down that copper a little bit so it fits in the screw better. You can also put, get on there, sucker. There you go. You can also crimp on. You can also crimp on some spade connectors if you want to get real fancy, but it's kind of unnecessary. So what we're looking for here when we connect it is I want to make sure that I don't have a lot of copper exposed sticking out past the screw, but I do want to have some copper. That way I know that it's a good connection. I don't want any rubber underneath that thing. Okay? Alright. Going over here, next one. That was red, this is black. Once again, this is an AC system, so polarity on this one doesn't matter. That might confuse some of you guys, don't worry about it. Okay, looking at my panel, wire number 3 is no connection. Wires 4 and 5 are my bell circuit, which is also the siren. So here's my bell circuit. Oh, look at that, I've got black, red, yellow, green, son of a gun. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to show you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to strip all 4 wires, and I'm going to double the wires, so I have double the wire size going out to the bell. Okay, so I'm going to take, this is just the way I do it. I'm going to take the red and yellow, and I'm going to put those on the positive bell. So positive bell for me is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once again, same thing. Don't want too much copper showing past, which will give me shorts and other type of wiring problems. And I don't want any rubber underneath the screw. Okay? Then my negative bell is black and green. So I'm just putting one wire on one side of the screw and the other wire on the other side of the screw. It's not rocket surgery. Okay. Next one is going to be my remote keypads. Now, if you have several keypads in your system, you can land them all on there. I think this panel supports up to like 3 or something like that. I'm probably going to need an additional power supply because I think I'm running 5 on my house. Yeah, don't judge me. Don't judge me. Okay? Okay. Sure, I'm just going to land one for now. This is my entry keypad. This is by my front door. Just go ahead and land that sucker. Strip her down. So, if you guys have multiple sorry, I have a screwdriver in my mouth. If you guys have multiple keypads and you have too many keypads that your panel can support, your panel can't support that many keypads because it doesn't have enough power. The green and the yellow are the smart wires. These are the wires that are actually communicating with the panel. The red and black are the dumb wires. All they're doing is just providing power. So you could take these red and black wires, take all your red and black wires, and you could put them up to a 12-volt power supply, a 12-volt DC power supply, and that'll take care, well, at least for mine, my keypads are 12 volts DC. So anyways, if I land these to a 12-volt DC power supply, then I will have power for all my keypads. Okay, so let's go. It looks like wire number 6 and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is my red. 7 is my black. Remember that Wesley Snipes movie? It was like, always bet on black. We thought that, oh my gosh, we thought that was so cool. When I was high school, we thought that was so cool. Okay, next one is going to be green. And yellow. What's funny is, like, if you know what that is, you're probably old. I asked one of my helpers one day who Madonna was. He didn't know. He was 19 years old. Didn't even know who Madonna. Are you kidding me? How can you not know who Madonna is? Freaking old people. Okay, so there we go. That's my horn. I'm sorry. This is my power supply, my horn, and a keypad. On this particular panel, it's wired for my smoke detectors. If I wanted to wire smoke detectors, would go on 10 and 11. So that's going to cover the basics there. Now we're going to start jumping into the zones themselves. These are the brains. This is going to turn the panel on. Now, let's figure out how to get the zones landed.